Hey, what's up, good people? Welcome back to Stock Up with Larry Jones. You guys already know what I'm going to ask you to do, so just do it on every video, that like, subscribe, and notification bell. If you're new, make sure you select the all. Listen, there's a lot going on today. Today is going to be a busy day. Everybody's looking at NVIDIA after closing bell, earnings after closing bell. And also, too, the Fed will be releasing his minutes. But the minutes that he's releasing is from something that happened already. So this is just a release of the minutes, okay? But it could have a effect on the market. First, I want to start by telling you guys that if you haven't signed up for the Stock Squad, which will be the top link in this video, where you can get the best plays from all four of us, then I'm telling you, you're missing some good money. All right, in the Patreon. I was in there this morning. I usually go there in the mornings and then we chat back and forth and we give our hot plays in the trade alerts right when we trade, okay? Right when we get into it. So let's look at some of the things that is going on today, right? So we have NVIDIA. I'm going to come back to NVIDIA because a lot of people are playing NVIDIA and a lot of people are gambling with NVIDIA. That's not, well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I'm sorry. So here's what's going on today also too. Fed meetings may shed light on rate cuts, okay? This is a Barron's report and all it's going to do is shed light. But sometimes when the Fed releases its minutes, it affects the market positively or negatively. I don't see much of a change unless it's good news, because the market is already down at the time of filming this. You could see that the Dow is down by 57 points. The NASDAQ is down by 106 points. Now, let's go back to NVIDIA because that is what everyone is looking forward today. The earnings will be at closing bell.
Well, I think it's all really just about the guidance. So, like you mentioned, the expectations are sky high, and that's really as a result of all of the hyperscalers. So, the CapEx guidance that we've seen from Meta, Amazon, Microsoft all throughout the year, as well as a read through from other companies like SMCI, for example, that reported big earnings, which has to do with NVIDIA. So, expectations are high. The stock is expensive and clearly crowded and up a lot. And what buy side wants to see is over $25 billion on the revenue guide for the April quarter. Consensus is sitting here at around 23 to 24 billion. So investor expectations are already that they guide ahead of that. And clearly this is just a high bar. In addition, the difficult thing for NVIDIA is that if they blow out the guidance too much, then you're going to have bears come in and say, look, this was a peak quarter. It doesn't really get better than that. So what investors want to see is that they clear that $25 billion bar on the guide by enough, but not too much so that there's still further upside to go after that for the bull case. We just think that at this point, NVIDIA is crowded, expensive, and a bit of a healthy pullback would be nice for the stock and give investors another chance to get in before the next leg up.
So the gentleman, I agree with the gentleman. It's very crowded. If you're doing options, the price of the options are through the roof. And sometimes it's better to not have went to a party than to go to a party late. You ever been to a party and it wasn't a good night and you wish you hadn't went? You know, guys, like when a girl says no in slow motion after you asked her to dance. We're not going back to Ingrid. We're not going to do that. All right. So, but what I'm saying is if you're just looking to enter into this play, you have to look at your risk to reward ratio. And I can tell you right now, the risk is very high. The risk to the reward, the risk is more, there's more risk than reward is what I'm trying to say. So let's look at what some of the things that's going on, right? We could see that if you had been in it for the last 5 days, you've actually lost money, right? And this is for purchasing the stock and doing options. But here's what's crazy about this, talking about late to the party. If you could see here, Had you got in a month ago, all right, number one, you got it at a better price than it is now for the options, okay? But you could have been making money. Even if you just purchased the stock, you were up by 12%, right? But look at what happened on Valentine's Day. You see that? That's Valentine's Day. That's when the love fell. That's when we fell out of love, good people, on Valentine's Day. So since Valentine's Day, it's fallen by 9%. And so here's another thing I want you guys to look at. And this is right now at the time of filming this. It may change. Now, if you look at this on the daily, you could see that we, on the RSI, it's overbought, okay? And if you look at the MACD, we got a crossover right here. But this is the daily. Now, look, we had a big long candle here, right? This was the 2nd of February. And then we had a somewhat of a hammer here. We had 2 red ones. We came down. We had a long red candle and we came down. But if you look at the wick of this red candle, right, and this is today, the bottom of the wick of this candle is right there, right? So resistance became support. Yesterday we had that big sell-off and now we have a sell-off today. And you could see where it is at the time of filming this, okay? So you do with that what you choose to do with it. Me personally, I am not in an option play. I'm not playing these earnings, but I do have the stock and I'm up about 170%. Now, what I plan on doing is buying more if it falls, because I believe that this is a great long-term play. I believe that this stock is going to go over $1,000. I believe that they're going to have stock splits in the future. And like I said earlier this year, that NVIDIA is the new Tesla. All of those stages that Tesla went through, NVIDIA is going through right now. So you let me know what you're doing. Are you playing it? Are you playing earnings? And I'm just saying, look at the long positions also. Let's dig a little deeper. If you look here, you could see Q1 of 2023, Q2, 3, 4, and then now Q1. As you could see, the last 4 earnings were a beat, right? They were a beat. Earnings, the EPA earnings per share was a beat. Okay, that means that things have to go really good for this to run up, right? It has to go really, really good. Look at the, we'll look at the revenue in a minute. Let's look at some of the things that the analysts are predicting on here. I like to show this because it's just a little easier to see. All right, just look at here. Forgive all the other stuff. As we could see, we have a lot. This is very high. Usually these numbers are single digits. Now you got double digits. So you can see strong buy. Look at that. You got hold to strong buy. It has a 1.7 rating. Look at that. Between strong buy and buy. So that's greed, right? That's greed right there. So we got sell, underperform, hold, buy, and strong buy. So it's between buy and strong buy, as you could see here. Now, that doesn't mean options. It just means buy and strong buy. But you can also look at the average of what people say it's going to be, these analysts, right? And you can go in further here and go into the downgrades and the upgrades, right? But the average for these analysts is a price tag of 677. Of course, they just change it when it moves. They just change it, okay? Let's look at something else here. Let's go back here and let's look at this. So as you could see up here, we got NVIDIA, right? But if you look here on their financial statements, I mean, they are absolutely killing it. Look at the revenue, right? Look at the net income, right? Net profit margins. See here? So they are killing it. Look at EBITDA, right? Minus taxes and all of that crap. Look at that. They are absolutely killing it. So Hey, I'm cutting in because the Fed minutes are about to come out and we will listen live now. Let's keep an eye to the right there on the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ and see how the Fed minutes, or if it moves the needle at all. Okay, here we go.
Well, as of January 31st, Fed officials did not see any kind of a rate increase in their future, agreeing at their meeting the policy rate was likely at its peak for this tightening cycle. But there was no consensus on when they might start cutting, and no real hints in the minutes about what they would be looking at to decide. The future path of the policy rate would depend on incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks, the minutes say. Cutting too soon was seen as a bigger risk than waiting too long, according to the minutes. Quote, most participants noted the risks of moving too quickly to ease the stance of policy and emphasized the importance of carefully assessing incoming data in judging whether inflation's moving down sustainably to 2%. But not all felt that way, suggesting at least a small split in the committee. A couple of participants pointed to downside risks to the economy associated with maintaining an overly restrictive stance for too long. Although they did not have January's stronger jobs and consumer price inflation data numbers, participants noted momentum in aggregate demand might be stronger than currently assessed. Several also worried the risk that financial conditions could become less restrictive could add undue momentum to aggregate demand and cause progress on inflation to stall. Geopolitical considerations got a small nod, as did slower growth in some foreign economies. And then finally, on the balance sheet, members agreed it was important to continue balance sheet reduction at its current pace, feeling so far it had proceeded smoothly. Many of them said it would be appropriate to begin in-depth discussions on the balance sheet at the March meeting, something Chairman Jay Powell had confirmed in his January 31st news conference.
So the equities cooled off a little bit. It wasn't anything surprising. Remember, this is just the minutes off of the FOMC meeting, and so not big surprise. As you can see, the indices cooled off a little bit. The Dow was coming down a little bit, then it fought back a little. So it was no biggie, just like I expected. I just want to say this about NVIDIA. NVIDIA will affect all AI. NVIDIA, AI is riding on NVIDIA right now, okay? But it will also affect all chips. All of the AMDs and all of these companies will have sympathy plays, okay? If NVIDIA tanks, best believe Microsoft is going to take a hit, AMD, all of the chip stocks will take a hit. If it rises, you know, when the tide comes in, all ship rises, then that's what's going to happen. All the ships, all of the chip companies will also rise too. Not all, but you know what I'm talking about. So just be careful of that. It's not that you can't just say, hey, this thing is through the roof, it's ran too much. If the earnings justify it, then it could continue to run. But I believe that this is a crowded space, just like this gentleman said, and it could be another beat. Remember, the last 4 quarters was a EPS beat, right? So a beat, and beat. But if they give strong forward guidance and they have a beat, this is what's crazy about this stock, because all of the hype. It could remain flat, or it could still cool off if there's profit taking. If there's profit taking in this space. Now, you got to understand, some of these institutions will take profit, wait for it to come down and get back in, right? Knowing that this is a good long-term stock. So it could be a beat, it could run up, it could be a beat, and you have to watch for large institutions doing profit taking, okay? So that's what you have to look out for on this. But as far as a long term, if you're long in NVIDIA, I'm very bullish on NVIDIA long. So we will see what's going to happen at closing bell. All eyes will be on NVIDIA. I'm just going to leave this one right here on NVIDIA. And you guys let me know what you think. Is it going up? Are they going to beat earnings? And if they're going to beat earnings, will it continue to climb up? I'm interested to see that myself. So on this play, I didn't buy the rumor, sell the news, nor did I play the earnings. But what I did do was buy a lot of shares when it was beat down. And on red days, I continued to dollar cost average in. At one point, I was up more than 183% on my NVIDIA. But I'm now dollar cost averaging up on red days. And I bought 2 more shares today. And I'm looking for this to be long. And if it does fall down, don't cry for me, Argentina. I'm buying more, right? So, hey, remember, don't forget about the 8% with Mumu. That's going to be the second link below. But more importantly, make sure you join the Stock Squad. That's going to be the top link below. And I believe we will be going live tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time on Stocks with Josh's page, right? Looking forward to hanging out with you guys there. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell if you haven't. And we will see you tonight live with the fellas.